Australia Spin Doctors, The Flick. And check out Doin' Time for news, views and tunes on prison issues from Guantanamo Bay to Christmas Island to prisons and detention centres everywhere. Every Monday at 4 p.m. on your community radio 3CR.
We are still fired up and we're still talking about revolution.
Hello and welcome to the Doin' Time show. This is 3CR Community Radio, 855 AM on the dial, streaming live on www.3cr.org.au. I'm Marissa and I'll be taking you through until 5 o'clock this evening. Coming up on the show, we're going to be speaking presently with Marianne McKay, and we're going to be speaking about a native title settlement that was registered 3 years ago. And it's in Western Australia. It's a Noongar native title settlement. Now, native title is a very interesting and controversial topic, and it's always good to get the perspective of Aboriginal elders, because sometimes Aboriginal elders, not all Aboriginal elders and clans are represented. And there's always a lot of problems when there is colonisation of a country, in this case Australia. So we'll be speaking with her shortly about that. And apparently this is the largest native titlement settlement in Australia, apparently, has been officially accepted for registration, and the deal was struck to resolve claims in the state's southwest. So the key points for the interview, it's about the settlement. It incorporates 6 claims covering an area from Jurai to Ravensthorpe, and the deal was signed in 2015 but has taken 3 years to be registered, as I said. Last year it overcame a challenge in the federal court. The step formalises a land use agreement between Noongar people and the West Australian Government and covers an area, as I said, from Jurai in the north to Ravensthorpe in the south. 6 Indigenous land use agreements, apparently covering 200,000 square kilometres of land, were formally accepted for incorporation by the Native Title Registrar. But I'd like to talk to Marianne, because Marianne has always been extremely inspirational. She's done a lot of really amazing work, and she's been on our show quite a few times, and we've done some extensive work with her. And she always gives really interesting and accurate perspectives on things. So, yeah, we'll speak to her, and then before we go to her interview, just to let you guys, the listeners know, that we're going to be speaking after that with Brett Collins from Justice Action. And Brett is going to be attending a future prisons conference, and he'll be speaking on a panel there. So we'll be speaking with him about that, and also speaking with him about mental health issues and how important it is for people that are hospitalised not to be force-fed medication. And we're going to be looking at people having phones inside the hospital and cell phones and stuff like that. But coming on now to Marianne. Hello, Marianne. Welcome to the program.
Hey, Claire, sis. Thanks for having me on again.
Oh, good. I thought I'd let you make a grand entrance and and introduce this whole topic properly, because people need to know the background, don't they?
No, that's right. And first of all, I just want to pay my respects to all the elders, past, present and future, right around, all of our nations within this country, and especially my own here, which are in like a state of mourning at the moment, I suppose. That's right.
Definitely a state of mourning. In what sense?
Well, what's really annoying, like I haven't seen any of the media coverage. I won't watch none of it. I haven't read any of it. I don't know what's being said out there, and I really don't care, because it doesn't concern us, But Noongar Nation, as a nation, are mourning. There's so many people speaking out against this. We didn't agree on this as a nation. A group of people that worked for the Southwest Aboriginal Land and Sea Council struck a deal behind closed doors with the government, and the whole process was fraudulent, and we're going to prove that. So even though I can't talk about strategies and that, we've got a group in place, and what we've been calling out for is support for legal fees, because we're going to mount, a challenge in the federal court and maybe the High Court and fight this. And, with the evidence that we have and the fraudulent process, I'm feeling really positive, you know, on a positive win for our people that goes the way that we want it to go, not what the Land Council and the government want. Because we didn't approve any of this, and all the authorisation meetings where they had all their yes votes were all fraudulent. You know, you had people signing away country that they don't even come from, you know, or have bloodline connections or have the authority. You know, people signing Indigenous land use agreements that don't have the permission to speak for the people of those areas. And all cultural protocols were, weren't followed. And in my heart, these people should be punished under our law. You know, I don't understand why they can get away with this and we're just kept out, because they blocked us out of Parliament. And when I spoke to one of the monarchs there, what we call police officers, he said to me, Marianne, specific instructions were you are not to be let in Parliament because they don't want a breach of the peace. Yeah. And I said to him, but what lawful authority are you going by? Because this is the most important day of our life and you're keeping all of us no voters out. Like, that's not fair. That's not a democratic process. That's not the process under our culture. You know, and he's like, look, come on, you know, we always support you. And I said to the officer, I know you do. That's why I'm talking nice to you. I said, but you need to go and tell Tony, they're the head of security, to go and talk to Parliament and ask why I'm not allowed to in there or any of these other mob aren't allowed to in there. And they wouldn't. They just, you know, they wouldn't even budge or do anything. And so you had all these people going into Parliament, a lot of who don't even carry cultural knowledge in the first place, you know, and a lot that don't even have the authority to sign away our rights, and yet they were allowed in there before us on the ground. Like, half them mob don't even engage in cultural practices to have a Noongar identity. They assimilate it. And that's not their own fault, you know what I mean? Some of them it is, but a lot of them it's not. It's a, you know, product of colonization. But it's not fair that we have to be punished because of their treatment growing up through the system. That's not our fault. You know, and it's not our fault. Like, I'm going to get emotional, Marissa, because I love our culture. I love going out and doing what us girls do, you know. And, you know, 90% of them people don't even do anything to protect country or to protect our culture or to honour our old people and our ancestors, and yet they're making decisions on our lives. And that's not fair.
So really it's about the fact that people, the people that are representing are not the right people.
No. And that's why the government dealt with them, because they yes voters, they jackies.
How did the government...
they'll do anything that the government want to line their own pockets. They don't care about their people.
How did the government come to that decision? How did the government come to that decision?
By bullying. Yeah. By bullying, by ignorance, by discrimination, by discriminating against us that were outspoken about the deal. They gagged us from the media. All of us no voters, which is the majority of Noongar Nation, are against this deal. And I can tell you that from experience from our Southwest tour when we travelled around Noongar country and we held meetings on the ground with people. You know, they rigged things. The whole process was fraudulent. And they turned around and they had the media, you know, put it out there that the Noongar people were positive about this. You know, the deal was going ahead. They made it all, sugar-coated it all and made it look like this fantastic deal. And they never gave us the even media coverage like with the Recognise campaign. How we were all shut down because we voted no.
Well, that's why you're here. Because
you know, that's right.
This is media.
Yeah.
This is media.
Yeah, and these are the main ones that have given us a voice. You know what I mean? Use and Koori Radio there, you know, and Noongar Radio since Wayne Binder left, who was the old CEO, they even shut us down from our own Noongar Radio for about 2-3 years. They had a CEO in there that was a yes voter for the Land Council, and he wouldn't play any of our community events. They breached the code. You know, the code of conduct, and we made that many complaints, and all those complaints to the Media Board for Australia were just swept under the carpet and ignored. And Noongar Radio got away with blocking our voices out to community for like 2 to 3 years. And then a couple of years ago, the community had enough, and strong leaders stood up and took back charge of Noongar Radio. And it's back to where it should have been at the onset of Colin Barnett, the ex-Premier's announcement at Kings Park. They shut us down everywhere. My, social media campaigns, we were constantly blocked. Our Facebook pages, our personal pages, our laptops and our phones were all tapped into. They were, what's that word? Like they were disconnected, like they shut them down.
Blocked.
And made them where we couldn't even work them.
Yeah. See,
and we lost a lot of documents. They even raided our embassy and took all of our paperwork. The state government. They sent the police. Colin Barnett, our ex-premier, gave the call to the police commissioner to send the troops down, the police. Or he says half of what we went through at the embassy was not put on the media. They terrorised us down there. And they, pushed into our elders. They took people's wheelchairs. They made me get up out of a chair when I was breastfeeding, or they were going to arrest me when I had my daughter on my boob, They took our laptop. They took our box that had all of our paperwork. We had petitions signed that had more signatures than the Land Council's memberships, and we don't know where them petitions are gone. They took everything from us, and we couldn't even lodge them petitions. We couldn't even do nothing. They took everything and stripped and robbed us of everything, and that's why Nyunga 10 Embassy had to close, because they terrorised the hearts and minds of our people.
I'm not surprised.
And they didn't want to go through that.
I'm not surprised.
And we had cases, sis, put up to the CCC, which is the West Australian Crime and Corruption Commission, and we had cases put up there, and we don't know what happened to them cases. Because we got evidence, video footage, everything to prove what they done to us, and all of a sudden those cases were swept under the carpet. We don't even know what happened, and we just don't have the time to follow it up because they're keeping us busy doing everything else.
So it's all about infiltration and witch hunting, isn't it?
Yep.
So
and they shut us down and they bullied the crap out of us. Me, when we were in Katanning for one of the authorisation meetings, one of the so-called elders who should carry cultural knowledge stood up and said, I'm not happy with the spear in the room and the emu feathers on the headband. And I looked around for a spear because I was thinking, who got a spear?
Yeah.
Like, where these mans are, where's a spear? And I realised she was talking about me with my one hang. Now, a one hang is a double-ended protection stick for a woman. The bottom end is the digging stick. The top end is the spear-like end for when you're hunting out in the bush. You want birds or small animals, right? The top end, because I'm in the city with my one hang, I didn't sharpen it sharp enough to be like a spear. I kept it blunt because all I needed it for in my area was digging.
It's symbolic.
Because the boys go and get the meat, Yeah, and so next minute, I realised she was talking to me, and I said, you're talking about my one hang. That's not a spear. Who do you think you are? You don't even know our culture, and you call yourself an elder. Women don't have spear.
Oh, my goodness.
This is a one hang. And you standing up there and uncomfortable about the emu feathers. The emu feathers, I earned my authority to wear these on my headband. So I don't know about you, old girl. And that was it. There was about 400 of us. The whole meeting just shut down. All my family rushed right around me to protect me because I went there on my own from Perth, but I had all my family from down south, all my Williams family and my Penny family and that, my Eads family. Next minute, the security come up, sis, and he was trying to stand over me and he's saying, you need to calm down, otherwise you're going to leave. I said, hey, who do you think you are? You don't go coming in. We're dealing with cultural business. You need to get out of my face. And we had a biggest argument going, and that's when one of my brother boys, he's big boy, he's my brother boy, We're not related by blood, but we grew up together as brother and sister, And he's a big boy, and he stood straight up, and he was like, hey, you're not touching my sister. Get away from her now. And he gunned himself.
But see, gunned
himself.
All of
this is what we went through.
Yeah.
All the bullying, man, oh, my God,
it's
and
crazy.
elders and all, self-appointed elders talking down to me. Yet, if my elders was there, they sat tight and never said nothing. And when my father would walk into the room, another time here, we had another authorisation meeting. I had my one hang. One of the swolls, the Land Council workers, comes out and says, sorry, Marianne, you can't come in here with that. And I'm like, with what? And she said, you're one hang. And I said, I'll go away. Are we having a cultural meeting here or what? We all assimilated. I can't bring my one hang. She's like, no. I said, you go and get my elders. Go and get my elders in that meeting and you tell them to come out here. You ask them to come out here. We're going to, my elders. So she goes, yep, all right, we'll ask the elders for permission, thinking she's going to have the backup. My elders come out. Nah, go away. Marianne not going to hurt no one with that. Let her come in with the stick. She said, no. So
See,
this land
terrible.
council worker ignored the elders, right? And because she worked for the land council, she bullied me into not coming in with my stick. And I wasn't allowed to leave my stick. No one was allowed to touch it. So what I had to do was ring my brother boy. I was like, brother boy, where's your car? I had to grab all material. I had to wrap my stick up, and then I had to put it underneath the car and lodge it in there because no one allowed to touch it or I'll get in trouble, you know?
This is crazy. So, it sounds to me like this is about assimilation and institutionalisation. Marianne, what would be really useful at this point if you could, because I'm sure that a lot of listeners don't really know much about this so-called deal. Can you talk about the deal and why you don't agree with it, why you and your elders don't agree with it? Give us some background.
For a start, right, Noongar country has over 20 million hectares of land, and they want to give us 325,000 of it.
Right.
So that's just one thing.
Yes.
They want to co-manage all national parks, and we already do that, so I don't understand how that's a benefit. They want to give us over 120 houses. And these are all houses we already own through Aboriginal Lands Trust, and they're all dilapidated and crap, need to be knocked down and renovated or refurbished. They want to have six corporations where $10 million is, run through the corporations each year. They want to put $500 million into a trust account, and that'll accumulate over $1 billion within the next 12 years. So we don't get $1.3 billion. It's an investment account and it accumulates. So they don't give us $1.3 billion in our bank account. And the money that gets put through to the corporations is run through a trust account which is managed by white people in government. And the bank that they chose is the ANZ, and the ANZ just got in trouble for rorting their own clients.
Yeah.
There's no cultural aspect to the deal at all. Everything is to do with creating regional and city corporations, and basically just like an ATSIC. An ATSIC in return for the surrender of our legal rights to our lands.
It's crazy. And it's interesting here. I've got here a quote, Marianne. I want to see what you think of this from the, let me just have a look at who it's from. The quote from the Aboriginal minister.
Oh my God, are you talking about Ben Wyatt?
I want to read out this quote. I want to see what you think of this. You're going to go off, but Aboriginal Affairs Minister Ben Wyatt said the deal would be one of the most, if not the most, significant native title settlements in Australia's history. I think it's as close as we've come in Australia to a treaty between a group of traditional owners and a government, he said.
Oh my God, he's so full of crap. Ben Wyatt's a little peckerhead. Like, he's one of those scared little boys that'll stand back in the crowd if anything's going on. Another Tony Abbott. Oh, my God.
So what do you think of that quote?
Oh, he's a treasurer. And, his background is in financial management and stuff like that. So I'm not surprised he's speaking from an economic point of view as far as I'm concerned. Significant to them because they ripped us off and give us chicken feed for all of our land. They got the cheapest land deal in history. This is the biggest land swindle in the world, man.
I get it.
Straight out. Yeah, that's what my elders call it. The biggest land swindle in Australia.
So
because it is.
What would you be... don't discuss strategy, obviously that's confidentiality.
Yep.
But what would be good for you and the elders?
Give our land back, give us total control of it, and then we can develop, MOUs with each of their government departments on how they use it.
And who runs the trust?
There's
the perpetual trust.
Government people and the representatives of the Land Council and different organisations. So
you've come from you're a Noongar woman, and you come from that land.
Yep, my bloodline runs through all the 14 nations on Noongar country, and all this Perth Metro. This here is my direct bloodline that I grew up on. You call it Wajak country, but it's really called Wajari. That's the people.
Wajari,
it's not Wajak, it's Wajari.
You. And how do you spell that? How do you spell that?
It's you could spell it either, so you could have Wa because it's Wa, so you could have WAA TDJIRI or something.
Wajari. Thank you.
Yeah, or WITJARI.
Wajari.
Wajari.
Beautiful.
Yeah, but that's what we really are. We're not Wajak because Wajak means belonging to no one.
Oh, that's really interesting. It's approximately 4:19 and you're listening to an interview on the Do and Time Show with Marianne McKay. And if people have just tuned into this, do listen to the podcast because it's a very, very important interview with Marianne McKay. So anyway, Marianne, look, it's crazy. I'm hoping that you and your elders can go through the federal court.
Oh, we're going to get this, Oi. We're going to get there because our old people are not going to lay down in spirit and allow these mobs to do what they've done. And we're going to fight with everything, and I mean fight with everything. We're not going to, anything we've ever done in the past is going to compare to nothing that's coming.
Hang on, they spelt it wrong. They spelt it Juri.
What's that?
You just spelt it a different way.
Yeah, because it's our language not written, see?
Why don't they write it out properly?
I don't know. I don't know. But we really Wajari, not Wajak. They need to get their facts right, yeah.
So I'm hoping that we'll be able to hear more about this, and I want to wish you the very best with the whole scenario, really, because these claims seem fraudulent.
Oh, they are. And the whole process was fraudulent. Like, one thing that I want to let everyone know is this started, right, we won our native title in the court, even though I don't support native title, but whatever, our elders done, whatever, you know.
Enough.
Who am I to question them, you know?
Yeah.
Anyways, so what happened was Justice Wilcox made a determination and said we still have all of our cultural and spiritual rights to our lands. But what he couldn't make a determination on was the issue of extinguishment. And his exact words were, I cannot make a determination on the issue of extinguishment. That is for the WA government and the Nyungar people to mediate. And you know what, sis? They never mediated with us. Glenn Kelly, right, who was the old CEO of the Land Council, and all his cronies in the Land Council, they went and made all these yellow maps with little black dots that people can find on the website, on their website. And he went and go tell everyone, here, look, you mob, if we go back to court, our land rights here are all extinguished and we'll only get these little black dots. And that is crap, sis. Because if we would have went back to court, we would have had a chance of winning and having our case chucked out. The WA government could have been giving us compensation for years because we could have showed, hang on, where you saying, how come you can't make a determination on extinguishment? Do we still have legal rights to that land that you aren't telling us? What lawful authority do you occupy these lands with? Like the government, Swallows, the Land Council could have taken it back to court, but they told our old people, like all of our elders and that if we went back to court, we would only get those little black dots or we would get nothing at all. And that was a lie, straight out lie. So the whole process was fraudulent right from the very start. And we tried to tell all our people that, but the government had their bullies come in and our elders were bullied and everything. I wish we could have recorded some of those meetings, but we weren't allowed to take our phones in there. But you had elders being bullied by young people and people who were of the generation of their sons and daughters.
Well, yeah,
and they had no support and no backup because everyone was shut down and it was disgusting.
It is disgusting.
The type of behaviours that they used.
And
I'm ashamed.
It's shame. So you weren't allowed into the Parliament, and when was that?
That was last week.
And what
Wednesday and Thursday.
And what were they doing in the Parliament?
They were all celebrating the victory of the signing of the Iluas.
And why weren't you allowed in there, given that you're a Noongar woman?
Because they said they didn't want a breach of the peace from Marianne McKay.
A breach of the peace, come on.
Yeah, and it's like a breach of the peace. I even said to him, what if I give you my word, because I value my word, because that's what my father taught me. No one can take your word from you. That's the only thing that they can't take away from you is your word, so you honour and value it. So that's where I walk, and that's why I always promise my people my honesty and my truth. I've got nothing to hide. I'll be open and transparent forever, you know. And so I said to him, what if I give you my word? I'll give you my word that I won't kick up, I won't say nothing. I just want to be in there to witness what you're doing to my people and my land and our futures.
And what
you know, and he said, no. He said, Marianne, no. They specifically said no. No.
That is terrible, Marianne. Like that just shows, doesn't it?
Even my dad, sis, they told my dad, no, he's a protester, he's not allowed to come in. And my dad don't protest.
I don't think it's got anything to do with being a protester. I think it's got to do with the fact that you know your facts and they've got a lot to hide and that they were worried about what you were going to say.
Yeah, no, that's right. And the media was all there, you know, but I didn't want nothing to do with the media. I was just like, nah. Go on, you fellas, right? You want to chase them, you chase them.
Yeah,
I'm messing around with them.
This is not good.
No.
Marianne, I want to wish you the very best, and for you and your family and the elders, and I'm hoping that you really you guys really get organised and start taking them to court.
Yeah, no worries, I will. And I mean, we're still trying to organise a bank account for donations, for legal fees.
Okay.
So I did a video on Facebook a couple of days ago. And it's just been overwhelming, the support that we've had,
Good.
And so I just wanted to let everyone know we are trying to raise legal fees to mount a challenge. And we're just trying to sort out bank account details. But if people can't wait for bank account details, I'm happy to give them an account that I don't use, and I can print off all the paperwork and everything to keep it all open and transparent.
Do you want to do that on Facebook? Or...
Yeah, I can do that on Facebook. If people can just message me,
yes.
Marianne Yorgabilia McKay, and they can also go to one of our sister girls has a page called Nyungar Not For Sale. So NOONGAR, not for sale as well, and you can find the link on my page as well.
That's fantastic. Well, we'll talk off air about that. We'll see if we can help here in Victoria.
Yep, all right, no worries. Thanks, sis.
Thanks a lot, sis.
And thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.
All the best.
Yep,
Bye.
thanks, sis.
Take care. Bye. And that was Marianne McKay speaking about a recent Noongar native title settlement and speaking about a lot of very, very interesting issues. Yeah, the mind boggles, doesn't it, when you've got byproducts of colonisation.
The National Sustainable Living Festival is Australia's flagship sustainability event, and applications are now open for the event in February 2019. To celebrate its 20 years, SLF is calling all changemakers, presenters, artists, performers and creatives to submit their applications for the biggest disruption yet. There's never been a more vital time to get involved in this important festival. Apply now. Go to slf.org.au. A 3CR supporter.
And you're back with the Doin' Time show, and we're going to be speaking now with Brett Collins from Justice Action. And as I said at the beginning of the show, it's in regards to a conference that he's going to be attending. I believe it's called Prison Future. I'll get the correct analogy then. And we're also going to be speaking about enforced medications for for people with mental health issues in hospitals, and about having their phones in. We're just going to be basically talking about all the work that Justice Action has been doing and is continuing to do. Hello, Brett. Welcome to the program.
Yes, g'day.
Yeah.
Oh, we're so busy. Gee. Is it you, Marissa?
I'm sorry?
Is that Marissa?
Yeah, this is Marissa.
Yes, good on you. Excellent.
You've been pretty busy with Justice Action, isn't it?
Good on you. Absolutely.
Can you hear me, Brett?
Yes, I can. I can hear you well.
Good. So tell us what's been going on with, tell us about the conference you're going to be attending.
Well, it's a fascinating conference. They talk about future prisons, the third annual conference of future prisons. And
yep.
They talk about planning and delivering facilities that provide safety, security, and reduce recidivism rates. Okay, so and they have all these privatised companies, like people like Serco and GEO and G4S. All these private companies who are multinationals who are taking the money that should otherwise go to ensuring people who are in prisons get proper services, and out in the community they take them for all new prisons. And they talk about future prisons, more prisons, more locking people away from their families. And it's a big industry, and a lot of people are very excited about getting their noses in the trough.
It's pretty. And so, who's running that?
Yeah, it is. Look, it's amazing. I mean, you think about the amount of money they spend putting people in jail. It's about $100,000 for each person, and for anybody who's under 18, the juvenile justice area, that is even better, inverted commas. They spend over $500,000 per kid inside every institution. So this is major money, and so all these major companies, the multinationals, are trying to ensure that they take as much as they can of the pie, and of course, it's in their interest to make sure that that there's more fear, more crime, more all the things that the average citizen wants not to happen. These multinationals would prefer happens.
That's crazy, isn't it? So you're going to be speaking on the panel, and who's running this conference, Brett?
Well, look, they have these people who organise conferences, and quite honestly, they're just people who are just just conference makers, right? So they wherever the money is, they follow that, and I think probably each person to attend the conference is probably paying about, I'd say, $3,000, that sort of money to attend. Might
That's
even be
a lot.
more. Yeah, imagine, amazing money. So, this is a chance for them all to talk to each other, chance to, talk to people who can supply certain services and get the right language to present it. So our involvement is actually, it's to make sure that the prisoner voice is heard. And we intend to bring the prisoner voice in from the very beginning. So instead of allowing, to be sort of sitting quietly in the corner, that's not the Justice Action style at all. And our style is, well, we've got 44,000 people out there. 44,000 is the figure at the moment of people living in the prisons and also living in locked hospitals. So that's a very significant number of people whose voices aren't heard. So our job is to make sure that gets out there. We're going to make sure that if we have a chance to be at the conference, that we're not going to be sitting in the corner and quietly waiting for our chance to speak. That's not what we're going to do at all.
I'm really hoping, Brett, that they don't try and kick you out. Remember last time you went to one of those conferences? They wanted you to go.
Well, look, our role is not to be comfortable, is not to be quiet and.
That's right.
Our job is to make sure that voice that is silenced is properly heard, and the anguish of people who are sitting inside those cells at the moment is properly heard. And if we didn't do that, then we shouldn't take the role we do. So
that's right.
So and if I'm kicked out, well, look, I don't think they will. I don't think they will. And I have the record, very proud record, of being the man who's had the longest on any prison roof.
Yep.
Right, here in New South Wales. So, if I can sit in a roof for 4 days, then I reckon I can hold a place in the conference floor without too much difficulty. I think a few suits and people who are normally in charge will have to get used to listening to what I have to say, and I've got some good things to say. I can assure you. Of course.
And when is the conference, Brett?
The conference it's on the 3rd and 4th and 5th of December. So a little way away, about another 6 weeks away. And it's going to happen there in one of those special hotels that's going to run for 2 days.
Yeah.
Probably some sort of a dinner or something beforehand and that sort of thing. I'll be sitting right in the middle, be handing material out, making sure that they hear the voice of prisoners, and they'll hear it loud and clearly at all stages. So there's nothing that happens in which we have not an involvement. So we'll make sure that's the way it'll be heard.
That's great. Well, good luck with that. And Brett, we were talking off air about patients experiencing mental health challenges in hospitals. Can you talk about that?
Right. Yes, that's right. Well, that's interesting stuff too. That's pretty outrageous. Actually, we had a meeting with the Minister for Mental Health this last week, and we had a chance to point out. Now, this is although this is like New South Wales, it's actually national. It's the same situation throughout Australia. We spoke for the forensic patients, and when the new National Mental Health Commission was set up, the one that was supposed to advise the Prime Minister on mental health. And so forensic, the people who are inside the locked hospitals, we made sure that the voices of those people were being heard. And this was a nice occasion to ensure that the local minister also took into account things that are happening here inside the locked hospitals.
Yeah.
So, some key points we were able to make, and probably one of the most important things was the things that had followed the death of this woman, Miriam Merton, who died at the Lismore-based hospitals, one of the northern areas of New South Wales, quite a major hospital there, and this woman was really distraught. She'd been quite well known to the staff there, and she was really distraught and was knocking her head against the wall. And so they stripped her naked. She ended up defecating and bleeding. So when she hit against the wall, she bled all over the wall and all over the floor. And so she died. Right, she died. But then what was the most amazing was there was this nurse who was standing beside her, and the CCTV footage actually caught her nonchalantly mopping the floor whilst this woman was dying. And a short time later, this woman collapsed, and they then took her out, and they said, and then told the family, you're most unfortunate, but your mother died. It was only later when the footage came out, and then one of the commercial television channels then put it up and showed it, and the front page of the Daily Telegraph then exposed it, when people went, "Wow, this is a shocking situation."
And when did this happen?
This happened 4 years ago, or 3 years ago, but then the actual coroner's inquiry only happened towards the end of last year,
right.
And then it caused a major inquiry, and people were saying, well, things have got to change here. So it was exposure. It was exposure to everyone, how callous the attitude of the nurses, the staff, everyone was towards mentally ill people. That was the point, and we actually then pushed this very strong in this meeting and said this situation has got to change, and you can't have people isolated inside these units. The first thing you do is you can't take away their phones. You've got no right to take away people's phones. How could you have a person who's distraught, who's isolated from their family, who's by themselves, and with a nurse who doesn't care, right? And how could you possibly take that person's phone away? The only person whom they can ring is their daughter, their family members, people who love them, and to isolate that person cannot be justified. We said very clearly. And we also said not only that, also that she was entitled, she and other people inside these hospitals are entitled also to have education facilities so they can do other things. They're not sitting there waiting for the nurse to come along with their medication. They can end up with a whole range of different things, and even different sorts of e-counselling, so outside services on computers. So they can actually have the e-counselling and have alternative ways of being handled. So, we put those things, and the Minister was listening.
Well, let's hope that we get some practical solutions here, and that there's more innovative programs that are available. And instead of spending money on, more prisons and more of these mental health facilities, let's do programs for them to get out.
Well, and the other point we made was that it's important that they're listening to the people themselves inside those hospitals, because what always happens is they go, let's hear about them. They're all mad. We don't want to hear from them at all. Well, that's just not true. The reality of it is that some people, everybody feels distraught at some time or other, and the ones who end up in hospitals, they after a short time, after they've had a chance to settle down, they're actually just as lucid and able to talk, and much more able to talk about what's important to them, so they must be listened to. Now,
the group that you're actually working with to try and help, Brett, are these mental health people that have got mental health issues, or is it also in the criminal justice system, or both?
Look, we found it's really both, to be honest. Look, we've found again and again we have cases where people have not been charged with offences, and they're just taken out and put in the hospital. They're family members, so they're being disturbing, or someone's concerned about them as being they're not doing the same thing as other people are doing. So quite often we have that sort of approach, and people are put into psychiatric institutions and held there and forcibly medicated medicated. So that's really wrong. And the whole attitude that people have to be the same as other people is wrong, and the law doesn't support that at all. But then another thing again, and also included in our concerns, is the people who are inside prisons, that they are also forcibly medicated, and that's such a wrong thing. Now, if they're wanting to take medication, sure, fine, that's a different matter.
Sure.
And people should be entitled to have support in different sorts of ways, and also should not have such a miserable life inside jail that they just want to just opt out and zombie on. They should have something they can do positively. They should have an opportunity for education. They should have opportunity to develop and do art and music and that sort of thing, which is the legal right. Right? They should have a computer in their cell and have it for themselves, be able to send emails and things like that. That's basic. And the fact that hasn't happened yet in some states is coming through, but in some states it hasn't happened yet, and that's wrong. People are entitled to not be isolated and to have access to the same services as happen to the general people in the community, as long as done in a safe way. And these things are secure. They've been happening now in the ACT for 10 years.
Absolutely. And so you're basically, in summary, what Justice Action is doing is negotiating with the Minister for Mental Health to improve conditions.
Well, yes, and look, really, improved conditions, I'm always worried about that because improved conditions really means that the people end up still staying inside.
But most of them do, don't they?
Well, look, our task really is to give power to people who are inside the prisons and the hospitals, and so they can actually get their voices out there. They can themselves be engaged in getting, becoming
for them to speak, have a voice. That's right, and for them to have a voice, for the patients to have a voice, and to eventually get out.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've found as soon as people start to feel as though they are being listened to, then they change their attitude and they go, oh, I'm part of the system as well. It's not all against me. There are things I can learn, I can contribute, I can also change the way I'm behaving as well. I'll listen to people if they listen to me.
That's exactly right. Brett, thanks so much for coming onto the program. Are there any final comments that you want to make?
Well, Marissa, I mean, look, our job is ongoing. The more we do, the more we need to do, and that's probably a good thing. But our job really is to make sure that people inside feel that they have a role to play. So we encourage everyone to get their voices out there, and we're looking forward to getting people having their computers in their cells and being able to contact, send emails and things like that. That's not far away in every state and territory. So we're looking forward to that happening, and meantime, people should push their own local area. They need access to those things for legal purposes, for education, for rehab services. That goes on and on.
For sure. And what's the Justice Action website?
Justice Action website is www.justiceaction.org.au, and anyone can write letters to us as well. PO Box 386 Broadway, New South Wales, 2007. So PO Box 386 Broadway, 2007, and we'll always send people a response.
Brett, thanks so much. Keep up the good work.
Okay, thank you, Marissa.
Thanks a lot.
Good.
Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
And that was Brett Collins from Justice Action, speaking about many, many issues in regards to mental health and negotiating with the mental health minister so that people inside and people in hospitals are not deprived of a voice.
In 2016, 3CR published a book to celebrate the station's 40th birthday.
Years in the making, Radical Radio, celebrating 40 years of 3CR, is a visually stunning account of the people and ideas that make up this dynamic station.
At 300 pages, the book includes hundreds of images and over 50 features on programs, people, music and technology from across the decades.
3CR's Radical Radio book is now on sale for just $30.
You can get your copy of 3CR's book at the station during business hours at 21 Smith Street, Fitzroy.
Or online at 3cr.org.au/shop.
Get a piece of your own history.
On sale for just $30.
3CR's Radical Radio is available now.
Help 3CR support the rights of Indigenous Australians.
They mean to save our culture and save our dreams, our footprints, dreams, our songline, and keep our culture going strong.
Of course, a lot of the Aboriginals, having been stolen, were put into state care, and also others
recognition of what our people have been through in the last 200 years, the recognition of our culture in the last 40,000 years, and the recognition of where we are heading into the future.
Welcome to Survival Day, Invasion Day. 223 years ago, the white man landed on our shores.
Subscribe to 3CR and help keep Indigenous voices on air. Call us on 94198377 or visit 3cr.org.au. Subscribe now.
And you're back with the Doing Time show, and we're winding down now. It's approximately 10 to 5, and so we're going to have Beyond Zero up very soon, shortly. But we've got about 7 minutes left, so in the meantime, I just wanted to announce those last songs. Wanted to announce Gotta Be Strong by the Warumpi Band, and also No Use in Crime by the Rolling Stones, and both of them are really good songs. So I'm going to be playing you a song now by Kutcha Edwards, and I'll announce that specifically later. So stay tuned to listen to Kutcha. Oh. And you're back with the Doing Time show, and we indeed did bring you the song by Kutcha Edwards, and that was called Hope. It's approximately 4:46. We've got about 1 minute left. Just wanted to thank our guests, thanking Brent Collins and also Marianne McKay. Thanks to Peter for organising Marianne's interview, and thank you to Rob for producing and making the show run smoothly. And the website for the native title is www.pc.wa.gov.au if you want to have a look at the native title settlement and draw your own conclusions. And indeed, I'm hoping that things go well for Marianne and the elders. It's approximately 4:57. We're going to be going out with our theme song now, Black Fellow, White Fellow, from the Warumpi Band. And stay tuned for next week's show, and every Monday from 4 to 5 for the Doing Time show.